Why?
I'm traveling and I want to get myself together. And that will be good. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get my plane tickets. I gotta get all of my stuff. I need this trip. I need a vacation. Oh, it would be so good to get away and go away, especially the holiday season. Whew. And we are all packed. We are together. But oh my goodness, I forgot all my transplant medication. One, two, three, four. No, I got this. No, I got that. I, I, I see. I've been stressed out. I don't never forget. I always have all my pills. I have everything. Besides not having insurance, now I'm on the trip. Now I left one bottle of pills at home. Know what I'm gonna do? Can I call a pharmacy? Can I call somebody? I just don't know what else to do. The $3,000 just for one bottle of Prograf. I couldn't believe it when I came to Florida. They told me that. Oh, I just don't know what to do. But I know one thing. This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 in a kidney world. Hello, everybody. And boy, is it getting close to Christmas. It's starting to look a little something like Christmas. How about that? Well, your girl is out on location in Florida. That's right, in Florida, in a beautiful, great resort. And I'm getting the tape and hear from my room. My suite rather, because they got everything, jacuzzi and the whole nine bits. But I said that to say this: I'm so glad to get away. It was a present from my sister. My niece had taken care of the hotel. My sister took care of the flights and the flying. That's what I'm talking about when family love you and care about you. But on a real note, I really did forget some medication at home. I was looking at it and I left some at home, and thank God it's being FedEx to me. Who knew FedEx would cost me $70? $70 I don't have, but people are always looking out every day for me and got your sister's back. All right? So we're going to get the ball rolling. I got a great, fantabulous guest. This man is just too much. He's an author. He plays the keyboard. He sings. He's a man of faith. He knows what he's doing. He owns his own business. He publishes. All right. He wrote books and everything. Oh man, he's a man about town, about business. He was raised by a kidney warrior. How about that? And we got him in the house tonight. So welcome, 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 my man, Anthony Elliott. Shall I say chaplain, elder? I know you're ordained in the whole bit. Hey, I say them all. You're welcome. How you
Hey,
doing?
thank you. I'm doing good, Lisa. Thank you. You know me, it's just plain on Anthony.
I know. We've done ministry together, back in the day for about what, 7 years with
Yeah.
Robin Rochford, right?
Oh, doing some
Yeah,
good
Elder.
time.
Oh yeah, with running with the youth, doing things with the youth, for the youth, and preparing the youth.
Exactly. Doing some awesome times. I miss them days.
I miss them too. I miss them too. But we did 7 years, and seven is completion. So even though it was
Completion.
good, when God got you doing so much, you just gotta do everything that He have you to do.
A lot of
He have it
times you
lined
can't,
up.
and that's a lot of times you can't have, all the great talents in one place. And he
That's
just
right.
ship us all around, everybody someplace else. And, he just do great works wherever, he ship us.
That's right. That's right. And I'm just proud of you with all that you're doing and all that I saw. I saw your website. I saw what you was doing. I went even on your Facebook page. We chatted, talked. You even text me some stuff. So we definitely gonna have to go into it. Now we're gonna start out with your employment, your job. What is it that you actually do, Mr. Anthony?
Well, right now I'm a drug and alcohol counselor. I work with the New Choices Recovery Center out of Schenectady, New York.
Uh-huh.
Um, of course, what I do is, I deal with, the recovery, those who are in the recovery field, I also, as a mental health counselor, I work with Albany Medical Center, so I'm all around that field of help.
Love it. I'm loving it. That hey, listen, we need people out there in the mental health field. What was one of your what is one of the things that you do with mental health that keep you doing this job?
Well, one of the things that I do at mental health is being able to decipher who has a mental health issue, who has a drug issue, and
Okay.
who is just, just have problems.
Mm.
Just because you have problems don't mean you have mental health.
Yeah.
It don't mean that, you're unstable. Sometimes you just need a little resource. Sometimes you need a little clarity. You
Yeah.
know, to me, being mental unstable is being unable to deal with your situation at hand.
Right.
And a lot of times, a lot of people could deal with what's going on. They
Hmm.
just need a little inspiration. They need a little help. They need a little guidance. So sometimes clearing that out and helping a person to understand that think they mentally ill, that really you're not. Taking them right
Yeah.
out that box.
Mm. Now I can understand that because sometimes when you might be going through something at that moment, that don't mean you're like that all the time.
Right.
Something could have happened, a circumstance. Maybe somebody passed away, or maybe you lost your job. You know what I mean? Maybe you're depressed at that moment. Maybe
Hmm.
you're not happy with yourself, or whatever it is. It don't have to be permanent. So I'm glad you said that. So whoever's listening can know that it might not be a permanent thing. You could see
Right.
your way out. You
Right.
know,
Right.
that's
Right.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, dealing on the issues you would say of drugs,
Yes.
helping people with recovery of drugs. What's the process of that, sir?
Well, the first thing an individual has to recognize is that they have a habit,
Yeah.
and not that they have a habit. They have an uncontrollable habit. They have a habit that they need help with.
Mm.
You have different type of drug addicts. You know what I'm saying? You have
Yeah.
working drug addicts who they'll get up and go to work every day, and earn their money and do whatever they have to do, but yet, what I'm saying, they
They
use it.
functioning addicts.
They functioning with it, they pretty good with it, family people. But,
Mm.
what I'm saying, what they need to understand is that, although they functioning well, their health is not functioning well. Eventually
Mm.
their body is going to break down, from the abuse of the drugs. And then you just have, the drug user who don't want no help, but they need
Mm.
help. They
Yeah.
come to us, the ones who don't want help. And then you have the ones who really need help. They want help. They just don't know how to help themselves.
Wow. Wow. So at least you know your category of people you're dealing with, and you have a plan and an idea of how that you would like to help them. So I
Right,
like
right.
that. Boy, you doing so much. Woo.
Like
And those are
everything.
heavy duty things. That's nothing to, I mean, I'm a social worker, and that can be a very heavy job because you deal with a
Hmm.
lot of people with all of these things, mental health, with dealing with drugs, needing child care, needing, have problems with immigration, you know what I mean?
Right, right, right,
Depression, so they're
right.
dealing with a lot, even illnesses, dialysis, diabetes, you know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
scoliosis,
Hmm.
Alzheimer's. So you would can deal with almost anything, and thank God for that. You can, that you have the ability to do it and educated to do it.
Well, that's
You
all the
know.
grace of God. That my mom dealt with dialysis, so she had kidney functions and all that. So I have experience with that, and in dealing with that, But I just give God all the glory because dealing, being spiritual and dealing with God, God directs us, and we always have to stay prayerful and mindful of everything that we
Oh
do,
yeah.
and
Yes.
when we're dealing with people and individuals, basically, I most definitely have to stay, mindful and prayed up. And one of the things that we must really understand is that, we can't put everybody in one box and say,
So
okay,
true.
this is the issue. Once I came out of school, school teach you dynamics, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
know, but once you come out of school, those dynamics goes out the window. You know what I'm saying? They go out the window. You like
Yeah.
up in something like you never even educated for or trained for,
Yeah.
whatever. So
That's true.
learn in that process.
Yeah, because those processes teach you something, and sometimes it's not a textbook exactly cookie cutter thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? And you have to deal with the individual, and you have to deal with them where they are on their terms, like God deal with us.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
you
You
know.
know. And where they are, you know, once you realize where they are, that's when the process actually become a little easier. I don't care how difficult the person is, but if you can understand where the person is at that moment, then you can formulate a plan,
Yes.
and you can just work that out with that individual right then and there. Once you understanding an individual character,
Hmm.
understanding, sometimes your most frightful person might be in fear. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? You sitting there
Hmm.
looking at somebody like, my God, they look crazy. They look real frightful. Like you don't really, want to engage, but they sitting there in more fear than you are. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's
these are
right.
the things you have to be able to read the body language and understand who you're talking to and where they are and how to talk to them. Sometimes in our field, a lot of people who work in our fields may walk on the job, may not be educated for the job, may not even want the job, but it's just something that opened up for them.
My God.
You know what I'm saying? And they
Yes.
really don't know how to handle the situation or relate to the person on the other side. You know what
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
saying? But once you know how to relate to any individual, you can pull their teeth and they'll be happy.
I like that concept. Now, when you dealt with people dealing with drugs or people with mental health, have any of them ever had a dialysis or kidney failure and anything? Any of your people that you've dealt with?
Well, most I'll say late term people. And when I
Hmm.
say late term, I mean people who have been dealing with drugs for a long length of time.
Right.
Eventually their liver gives out. You know what I'm saying? Eventually
Mm.
they accompany it with alcohol. And between
Mm.
the drugs, the medication, and the alcohol, that weighs a lot on their kidneys, and eventually that'll give out. And so therefore, they'll be doing dialysis,
Wow.
and I have to answer that question. I have most mental health may be a little different. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
that may be a little different when dealing with they more so just deal with medication,
Right.
more
Right.
so not the dialysis or anything of that nature, but more so the medication. And if the medication they use, and that was
Mm.
one of the things that I really feared for my mom, because it was the medication that is being offered breaks down different tissues and different organs. So,
Yeah.
and if you abuse that medication, what I'm saying? Or, you really have to be smart when talking to your physician or talking to any physician about medication. And you have to know,
The
the
side effects, huh?
effect,
Yes.
what I'm
The
saying?
side
You have to know
effects.
it all, what I'm saying? That way you can, make an educated, choice. You can make an educated, guess. You can make an educated, whether I'm going to use this medication or not. Because
Decision. Right.
exactly,
Hmm.
as sad as
Wow.
it is, some physicians get paid, to push a certain medication. So
I ain't
you,
mad at you. Come on and tell it.
the consumer, have to be educated on what is going on with you and your body and what that medication is, what it does, what its adverse effects are, what it can do to you, you know what I'm saying, as you take
Yes.
it, you know what I mean? And then there's cocktails, they're cocktails, you know what I'm saying? You take a couple of medications, you know what I mean? And you have to
Yeah.
know how they all interact with each other.
Yeah. That combination.
Exactly. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, one med may not be great with the next med, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And, but you have to know, it's up to you, to educate yourself on everything you're doing and everything you take.
That's true. because they do give you a long printout of the side effects. They do the pharmacy talk to you. Sometimes
Hmm.
your doctor talk to you, and then sometimes your body will talk to you. I know
Right.
with Prograf being, if I take too much of it, my hands shake all the time. Even when I was
Right.
trying to do the show, my niece had to. She's a doctor, and I'm on the trip with her while I'm in, Florida, and she came and helped steady the phone for me because I was shaking it so much trying to talk to you and Steve. It looked like I was like, like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, chill, calm down. I haven't had dinner yet. I only had
Uh
one meal. I'm thirsty. So, but
huh.
I'm just
Well, you want
saying,
some water? Water right here. You want some
yeah.
water?
Don't start nothing. I come through there. You know what I mean? But you need to know what these things do to you and the effects of
Right.
it. And they supposed to tell you a lot of stuff that they don't really tell you. Even the fact that they might not even pay for your medication after 3 years when
Right.
you have Medicaid and Medicare. And then a lot of the companies and insurances feel strained about helping you even with a
Right.
transplant. I keep
Right.
saying, don't give the transplant. Well, I've been saying that maybe my last two shows. Don't give the transplant if you're not going to take care of the
Right.
person
Right.
with it. You know what I
Right.
mean? If you're not going to pay for the medicine or help them or direct them, and if you can't help them and that thing fail or on its way failing, then don't give it to them.
Yeah.
Now,
One.
going into your mama. I loved your mother, sweet person, excellent woman. Now, talk a little bit about your mother and what she was dealing with.
Well, my mother, God bless her, sweet woman, love her to death. And if I say this, they might can send the police to my house
Uh
and
oh.
ship me to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going crazy without her. You
I
understand
know
what I'm
that's
saying?
right.
She's
You
not
ain't,
here, and
you ain't
I'm
wrong.
without it. But she was dealing with congestion and heart failure. And one of the things that I do want to say and advise: do not allow do not allow the medical field to frighten you into taking a certain med or going on dialysis on, because I think at the time my mother didn't need dialysis at the
Not
time.
yet, right?
She
Mm-hmm.
didn't need it at the time. But understand that, they need to fill these beds. You know what I'm saying? Everything now is becoming about money. You know what I'm
Every
saying?
dime.
And so, and I know she didn't need it because as the doctor, I walked in the room when my sister was visiting my mother, you know what I'm saying? I walked in the room and the doctor is talking to her, telling her she need dialysis, like immediately, yada yada. You know what I'm saying? So when I walked in the room and I see this going on, I see the face of my sister and the face of my mother, and I'm listening to the doctor talk, you know what I'm saying? I begin to ask him some pertinent questions, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, this, that, and the third. And then his answer shifted, like, oh, now it's a 50-50, where he had her thinking, okay, you got to do this immediately. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Now,
Today,
yeah,
right? And it
now
really
it's
wasn't today.
it's 50-50, you know what I'm saying? She can do it, but, she don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, again, when my mother, she's been dealing with congestion failure for about maybe 10 years, a few years, you know what I'm saying? She, was dealing with, water pressure, water on the knees and all that stuff for a few years. And it was taking its toll, you know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
But she didn't have to take dialysis at that moment, you know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
yeah.
But again, she was frightened into it. Um, as far my mother, my mother, you know what I'm saying? She
Yeah.
was a jubilant person. She loved the Lord, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
My
she
mother,
did.
she lived by faith, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, God allows some things to happen for reasons. I always say that, regardless to what, you know what I'm saying? There's a song that say, accept what God allows, you know what I'm saying? And because we know God loves us, so, therefore we accept it. We may not like it at the time, but we accept it.
I didn't like being on dialysis. I didn't want to be on it. I just happened to be good on it. You know what I'm saying? And good with the transplant. I said that to say this because I didn't want it either. And it took me somewhere else. And he was
Right.
right where he took me. There you
Right.
go.
Right.
Continue.
You know what I'm saying? So, but that goes back to, being educated, being
Surely.
educated on whatever, is going on in your life. You know what I mean? Educate yourself, talk to people who know, You know what I mean? Talk to professionals who care about you. That's going to give you the truth. That's going to give you the what for. Talk to
Hmm.
people who knows about the subject you need to talk about. Don't just talk to anybody. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Go and
Yeah.
talk to Joe Blow, and he really don't understand what's going on, and they'll tell you, well, you got to do what's best for you. You know what I'm saying? Not really understanding what's best for you, but
Right.
make sure you read up. You know what I mean? The internet is great. Read up. Go on the internet, look up some stuff, Google some stuff.
Mm.
Know exactly what's going. Know the questions to ask. That's most important.
Oh
Knowing
yeah.
what to ask. The questions to ask your physician, and no timelines. It's just so much that you have to know. But if you know them, then you can make a great decision. You'll be informed. You'll know what's going on. You won't be so cloudy, and you won't be frightened. You won't be in fear. Education normally takes away fear. Sometimes, what I'm saying, it's hard when you know that it's a real serious situation, but at least you know where you're at, and you can prepare for everything that's going on or that's going to come down the pipe.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That's so true. That's so true. Well, how long was she on dialysis or experienced dialysis once they told you to go on or the 50-50?
Right.
Did she?
She was on dialysis for about 3 years. She was on dialysis for about 3 years, you know, and then too, my mom got to take some blame also because, you know,
Yeah.
once my mom, got on dialysis, my mom just sat back. She was just being taken care of. You know what I mean? And, she was just being taken care of. She had children who loved her,
Yes.
grandchildren who loved her. You know what I'm saying? And it was her world. It was her
Yes.
world. What she wanted, she got. We tried to, make her exercise some. We tried to make her, my mom. My mom is Jerry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jerry gonna do what Jerry want to do.
You ain't never lied. All right now. You better go ahead.
Going to
Yes.
get in, Jerry going to get there, and Jerry just, Jerry felt like, listen, I done lived my life, I done, what I'm saying, I done worked my jobs, I done took care of y'all. Now
Yes.
it's time for me to sit back and just relax. So, and I think within her relaxing and not exercising like she should have, not
Uh-huh.
eating the right stuff. You try to give her the right stuff, but Jerry gonna sneak and eat the wrong stuff. You know what I'm saying? And
Woo, you telling her business. Uh-oh.
you know,
Yes, yes.
she
Well,
gonna
so
visit me, like, you know what I mean? But and a lot of that, had a wear and tear. So you have to do the things you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? We both know that.
discipline.
Exactly.
Dis-
You have to discipline yourself.
yes.
You know what you're supposed to do. Um, Please, exercise, get up, keep the body moving. Keep the blood
Yes,
flowing.
circulation is important.
Exactly. I tell people always stimulate your mind, read books. You know what I mean? Um, Google stuff that you don't know. You know what I mean? Always learn something. Keep your mind stimulated. You know what I'm saying? Me myself, I was on that path at one time. You know what I'm saying? And I had to recognize that at one time I was like almost 310 pounds. So,
Yeah, I
and
was 214. I was heavy for about 7, 8 years. I took it off.
exactly,
Got to
so
change.
I done came down to about 214. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
look
saying?
at you. I ain't mad at you. Come on now.
I'm trying. Everybody see me now, don't recognize me. They walk right by me
I
like,
looked at you twice myself. If I knew you so long, I was looking. I was like, what? Yes,
you
yes.
know what
That's
I'm
all
saying?
right though.
All that was for my health. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're getting older, and we can't do the things that we used to could do, even though I feel like it. You know what I mean? I don't feel no ways tired. I don't feel like
Yeah.
old or senior or anything like that. I'm still running around here doing stuff I was doing like in my 20s. You
Well,
know
I
what I
see
mean?
that. Changing your diet sometimes do help you to make a better change in your life, make you feel
Right.
better. Now, you still look good. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
still look well. You know what I mean? But sometimes when we heavy, things be going on in the body that we don't know about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or we might have
Right.
didn't get checked out. So it's
Right.
good to know. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Right.
always good to know. Just because I caught my husband at that size, still don't mean I didn't have high blood pressure and stuff going on and out of breath a little. I move pretty good for that size, but you
Exactly.
still gotta lose the weight. It just gonna buckle down to that. Eat right.
And you
And it
already know
didn't
you
come off that
still.
easy. It,
Huh?
it didn't come off that easy.
No,
And then
it
I had a
don't.
low metabolism, so even when I was running, jogging, and all that, changed the diet, those things happen. You know.
Hmm.
So now take me into your bookstore.
Okay. My bookstore. I started off with children books. I started off writing children book. I wrote my first children book called That House,
I was
and
looking at that. Stop.
I
Yes.
wrote that book because of watching the Tyler Perry movie. The one where the family moved down south and when he had basketball playing and he was almost getting
Oh
ready going
yeah, I
to
remember
drugs.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's almost going into drugs and stuff, selling drugs. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And the drug dealer, he came back to the drug dealer, brought him back his drugs, and told him, "I can't do this." And the drug dealer told him, like, "I understand that. That basketball is you. That's your way out. But this is all I have.
Hmm.
All I'm gonna be is a hood rat, a drug dealer. This is all I can do." And as I thought about that, because I had my time in the streets a little bit, you know what I mean? Wasn't always, walking on the right side of the Lord. But one
Yeah.
thing I understand is, what I'm saying, when you deal with our youth, when you deal with drug dealers and, street kids, they have a whole lot of potential that they don't even know. They have a whole
Yes.
lot of potential that they haven't even tapped into. You know what I mean? So, and one of the potential, any drug dealer know math, and most of them know how to do art. Those two criterias, those two things are the main things you need to be an architect. If you
Wow.
could take those two things and put
Teach.
education to it, you know what I'm saying? You can
Hmm.
become architecture where, you start off making at least 40, 50,000. That's just starting off, period. And the sky is the limit, depending on, your job and where you're working at and what you draft up. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So I wrote that particular book just to encourage kids. No, there's more to you. You know what I'm saying? Than what you think. You just got to sit down and think about it. You know what I'm saying? And then I just started from there. I wrote my own nativity story. But it's
I saw
biblical.
that too. I saw that too. We running together. I see. I'm on the sixth book. I ain't mad at you. Keep
I'm
going.
telling you, but I kind of start this. I have a nice imagination, and especially when it comes to the Lord. I started this nativity book from heaven. You know what I'm saying? From a meeting in
Yeah.
heaven. When the Bible says about Job, how the sons of God came and presented themselves before God. So I took it from there, as a meeting in heaven,
Yes.
and I brought it down to the nativity. You know what I'm saying? So basically, right now, I'm completing a book called Marriage Season right now. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Because we are living in the last days, and the Bible said in the last days they are going to be marrying and giving in marriage. And relationship right now is one of the biggest things that's going on in the world as well as in the church. People feel like they can't find the right relationship. They feel like they can't find the right man. They can't find the
Wow.
right woman. They feel like they just not out there. You know what I'm saying? And for that to be true, then God has to be alive. You know what I mean? But God has someone for everyone. We just have to know how to go out and choose. And not only choose, we have to know how to allow ourselves to be fixed up, to be ready for the right one. Sometimes the right one be right there in our face, but we are not looking at them or we're not ready for them. So,
Yes. You
that
gotta
marriage
prepare.
season book is just to enlighten, their minds, to open up their minds so that you might be able to look back, look at yourself and say, okay, now I understand why, some certain things and is going wrong. And like a lot of scriptures that, we quote, we misquote. I remember writing this book, or before writing this book, and I was going through my problems, with relationships, and you know how we cry to God, but you said, but you
You
said, and
promised.
I'm telling you, and God would say to me, "Did I say that?" You know what I'm saying?
Or
I was
did
like,
you
"Well,
say it?
it's in the Bible, but did I say
Or
that?"
did your flesh say it?
You know what I'm saying? And God would tell me, go back, read it again, and this time read it with an understanding. So, when I go and pick it apart again, whole new different story. It's like an enlightenment. I go, oh, now I understand. So this book, Matter Season, I'm telling you, it kind of explains a lot of the scriptures that we believe we understand, but we
Wow.
really don't understand. You know what I'm saying? We really
But
don't
he that
understand it.
findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But we forget that and obtain favor from
You better
God.
go ahead.
We forget the other parts that comes behind it, which is important too. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, it
another
is
scripture,
important. It
Lord
all
should,
goes together.
the Lord should give you the desire of your heart. Everybody quote that. And they stop right there. But then it goes to say, but them who keeps their mind stayed on God. You know what I'm
You better
saying?
go ahead. I ain't mad
So,
about it.
it's like we take the good part and we try to move the part where we have to do something out. You know what I'm
You forget
saying?
the instruction part, the part that have you to do some action. You talking about all the
Exactly.
things that God gonna do for you, but what you gotta do for him in order to
Exactly.
get it.
Exactly.
Don't
And we
forget the
take
hook.
and and we kind of throw stuff in God's face. And I remember with all them scriptures, God told me. Now, after He told me to go research all those scriptures, then He told me, now go back to what I said. Take it back to the beginning. I had to take it all the way back to Genesis for what God said. I heard
Mm-hmm.
what Solomon said, Samuel said, David said, you know what I'm saying? I heard what everybody else said, Paul said, I heard what everybody
Yes.
else said. God said, now go back to what I said. And he had me take it all the way back to Genesis for what God said. You know what I'm saying?
He'll take
So,
you there now. I know that he'll take you there. Even when I got on dialysis, I said, you promised me I wouldn't be on that. Now they willing me into the operating room. He said, I know I
uh-huh.
promised you that, but I want you to witness a miracle. I didn't know a show
Mhm.
would come out of it. I didn't know
Good.
so many books would come out of it. I didn't know I would
Uh-huh.
be on so many other people's show. I didn't know my
Mhm.
testimony would go around the world. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I didn't know that I would stay alive for such a time as this. You know what
And
I
God is
mean?
awesome.
Yeah, I
God.
said, well, God, you go ahead and be God. Do what you got to do, God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your servant heareth. But no, that was my other guest. I think was a chaplain. He was dealing with chaplaincy. You dealt with chaplaincy too.
Whoa, I'm
You
sorry.
dealt with chaplaincy.
Chaplaincy?
Chaplain.
No, I don't believe I
I
have.
had to deal with that. Dealing with the youth and stuff in prison. But I never
Oh,
did
okay,
the chaplain
chaplain. Yeah,
classes and
okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I know you're an elder, and you were,
yeah. No, I went. Yeah, yeah. Well, when I went to the prison, I kind of cried when I went to the prison. I went to the prison when I first went to Rikers Island. I cried
it's
because
heartbreaking sometimes.
as I stated, I had my time out there in the streets,
Hmm.
and all the guys who came out to the service was guys I knew. You know what I'm saying? And their stories, was like, oh my God, Tone, man, it's good to see you. Oh, we glad you made that change when you made that change. You know
All
what I
right.
mean? And then they started telling me the numbers that they was going to do, the football numbers. Some was doing 15 years, some was going up to do 20
Ooh, the
years.
bids, right?
Exactly, their biz. And and I'm looking at the gates and I'm looking at them and I know I'm getting ready to walk out these gates. And I cried
You
and I
ain't never
said,
lied. I know when
you
I heard
know,
the clink clank, I was
I,
ready to go.
I said, Lord, what they did, I might have been with them during that
Yeah.
time, except I changed my life back around. You know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
was a little upset with God growing up because I didn't understand God. That was a lot of our problem. Growing up as a youth, I really didn't understand God. I heard all the preaching and I grew up in that
Yeah.
age of prosperity. And that age
Yes.
of prosperity, all they did was talk about how good God was. And they talked about if you do this,
They didn't
God's
talk
going
about the other part.
to. Anything that would make you prosperous, that's all they talk. But they ain't talk about those bad days that was going to come. So, I mean, a lot of times, I just misunderstood what was going on.
Well,
And with God,
you live and you learn and you grow. You know what I mean? And
exactly,
sometimes, the light bulb come off. Some God touches us right where we need to be touched, and we actually hear Him. You know what I mean?
exactly,
So that's why I guess He makes you strong because you was able to go back to the prison ministry. I never been in jail, and I never, even though I heard the clink clinks of the clinks, I
right.
still thank God for even being able to minister there, even though, that wasn't my experience, but I was glad I was giving some kind of love and concern and comfort to somebody.
Hmm.
But if you had to talk to somebody that maybe wanted to be an author or open a bookstore or even do your type of job, what actually would you say to them,
I
Anthony?
tell anybody, whoever want to be an author, just write. Don't worry about the structure. Don't worry about anything. Just brainstorm, write.
Yes.
Put it
Wow, I
down,
love that.
paper. You know what I mean? Because you got guys like myself, who can publish it for you, or you can self-publish yourself if you want to. But
Yeah,
if you don't
I've
start
done that.
writing
Dealt with
first,
publishers and
then it'll never
self-published.
get done.
Tell them.
You know what I'm saying? Huh?
I said, tell them. I've done
Yeah,
self-published and I've dealt
yeah.
with publishing companies and
Right,
stuff like that.
right. You know
And
what
me
I'm
and you
saying?
about to do something, so I ain't mad at
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. Like, so,
Keep
I
this
just tell
ball
them
rolling.
to start writing. You know what I mean? As far as, what I do as far as working with the health field and, the recovery field, that's a field that you want to go into. You know what I mean? If you want to go into it, then yes, do it. If you don't want to go into it, if it's not a field that you want to go into, you're not going to like it. You know what I mean?
Don't mess with it then.
And don't mess with it at all. It's going to drive you crazy. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So don't mess with it at all. But if it's a field that you want to go into, that you like, that you enjoy, you know what I'm saying? That's something that is a rewarding field. It really is. It's a rewarding field.
Okay. Now, two more things because I'm gonna let you go. Um, if they wanted to open a bookstore or wanted to know anything about your particular bookstore, where would they go? What would they do? And how would they go about opening this type of thing if you able to say something on that?
I mean, if they want to open a bookstore, I mean, it's like any business, you get a
True.
tax ID, basically try to, get a property, a storefront, something, open it out your home, out your church, you know what I'm saying? And, you supply it with
Say
books.
that.
But, the thing is, the book market right now, unless into reading, um, Harlequin novels or, street novels. Those are the books that's really selling right now. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
People
If
love
so,
dirt and romance.
exactly. So it would be something that you really would have to look into. You can just always open up a bookstore and put books in it. Again, if you want to be an author, you know what I'm saying, just begin to write. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then once you finish writing, you can go ahead go about getting your work published. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard. It's not a hard field. It depends on if you really want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Me, I have a knack of knowing how to put things together. You know what I'm saying? In order to
Yeah.
sell books, I call it selling books behind the back door. I'll put an
Yeah.
event together. You know what I mean? Something, where and the books will sell. You know what I'm saying? Or
Excellent.
I know how to market and advertise. If you're going to sell books, you really have to know how to market and advertise what you do. To make people really want to buy what you're putting out there. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So I have a
Hmm.
knack of doing that. And it also, you have to have great illustrations that'll draw people attention. It's a few things that you have to know. You know what I mean? It's a few things,
I like
you have
that.
to have an eye for.
You're giving them the steps. You're giving them the steps. Now, if they had a mother that was dealing with dialysis or dealt with the way your mother was dealing with dialysis, what would you tell them or say to them to encourage them or help them in any way?
I would tell them, first of all, pay attention. Pay attention to everything. Pay attention to what's going on with the mother, what
Yes.
she's eating, pay attention to how she's feeling, pay attention to her medication, pay attention to what her physicians are saying, pay
Yes.
attention to how her family is acting around her. Just pay attention to everything and understand that, once she go on dialysis, this is either it's a weekly process, what I mean, of having to see their mother, on this dialysis machine, and sometimes it could be a scary thing in the beginning. You know what I
Surely,
mean? It can be
surely.
scary seeing that in the beginning, but they have to tune their minds, fine tune their minds, because they have to be the encourager. They have to be the one that strengthen their parent and let their parent know you're okay. Don't even worry about it. You're going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? They have to make their time available, for her, or, for her, for him, be available, anything that lighten the load, anything that's lighten the load, make sure their parent eat the right food and exercise. Make sure, even if they just got to walk their parent down the hall. I used to tell my mother, we just going to walk down the hall and walk back. You know what I'm saying? So, you
Yes.
know, must exercise, must get that in, just to keep the body moving.
Wow. Wow. I'm loving that because people need that. Sometimes they'll do more because you're doing it with them, or
Right,
do more
exactly.
because you love them, or you're listening to them, or what
Right,
you say matter, or what they saying to you matter,
right,
from your
right,
parent.
right,
I've been a person that taken care of my parents and my husband and stuff like that, and
right,
had to be a
right,
person to take care of myself by myself, even
right,
when
right,
sometimes I couldn't
right.
hardly walk in the house and crawl to do certain things. So it's very important that your family see that you care and love them, and that they're
Yes,
not a
yes,
burden.
yes.
Now, if you had to give somebody a shout out before your shout out, is there anything that we didn't cover or didn't say that you want to say before I allow you to give that shout out?
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. You know what I'm saying? This is great. This is awesome. I'm loving it. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying? Oh my God.
bless your life.
I give a shout out. I thank the Lord. I thankful to God, save, sanctify, Holy Ghost, filled, fire, back, all that old good stuff. You know what I'm saying? I thank God, for my family, that has me and those who have, my back. You know what I'm saying? These right now are some trying times for me with everything that's going on with me right now. So, those who really have me. Those who don't, well, it's okay too. But, I thank God for them too. You know what I mean? But basically, I thank God for this opportunity that He allowing me to do all these things. Sometimes, with my mom, I think God kind of freed me up there a little bit. I don't look at it like that. I'd rather not be free. You know what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah,
being
yeah.
that, He freed me up a little bit, I try to make it work. I just try to do everything that I need to do. And I'm looking forward to getting with you. I was looking at your books and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, the ideas just started rolling. Like, all right,
You better go
okay,
ahead.
yeah,
Don't you make me act up on here.
you know
Thank
what I'm
you.
saying?
Hallelujah.
The ideas started rolling, and
Wow.
we're going to
Chimes
talk
on.
a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, hey,
Thank
I
you.
look forward to it.
Yes, me too. I was praying. I was praying. So God is answering prayer left, right, and center field. I'm telling you, left, right, and center field. You know what I mean? I appreciate you for taking the time out to do this. I know we was going to do it a couple of months ago, and you felt this time would be a better time. And see,
Yeah,
you was right. It was a better time. It's always good to know when the time is right, and this is it. And God
exactly,
had that appointed time, and this was it right here today. You know?
exactly.
So I'm so glad to have you. I'm so glad that you doing so well, and we are definitely going to get together real soon and take care of business. And I'm just going to say, bless your life. I'm very proud of you. You always did well, and I'm just glad you're even doing better than well.
That sounds good. And just wanted to let everybody know I'm Favor the Flavor. That's the name of my company. My website is www.favourtoflavor.com. You guys can look me up if you need help with your books and stuff or anything, marketing, advertisement, jingles, whatever you need help with. Just give me a
I
shout
got
out.
that in common with you with them jingles. Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. I was
Wow.
liking your jingle when you first came on.
You better go ahead. You better go ahead. I ain't mad at you, boy. I'm telling you. But you have a fantabulous night. You keep doing what you're doing. I'm glad God is always in your corner working for you and what you are doing.
Oh,
So
he
thank you,
is.
and I appreciate you 100%.
I love you too. Mwah. Miss you guys. We got to have a reunion. Got to get Rice and all of them, and we
Oh yeah,
have
we're
a
gonna
reunion.
drag them all together. We're gonna get
Uh
Robin, his wife, everybody. Okay?
huh.
All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna make it happen, all right?
Sounds great. Sounds great.
All right. Good night and thank you. I'm gonna
Good
end the
night,
show. I
and
think
you
we have
welcome.
another one after, I'm not sure. But thanks again. And see, guys, you've heard it. You've heard it from a good source about all of the business you can do. A person raised by a kidney warrior, and all these other things. I want to thank. I want to say happy birthday to Patrick Burno. Aunt Lisa loves you, and I want to thank Ken, who has a show on this thing. Was a big help to me. Thank you for the FedEx package you sent to Florida. All right now. Thank you for having a sister's back. And thank everybody for all your prayers for me to have medicine and get medicine so Hannah wouldn't fail. And she's not, and she hasn't. Y'all have a blessed, beautiful night. Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. I'll definitely see you next week with another great guest, and I will be announcing some of the good people that's coming in the new year on the Lisa Baxter Show from January to March. So don't you miss it. A million blessings and peace. I ain't mad at you. Nothing but love for you, baby. God bless.